can all just come up to the front row or sit at the table. But we still do have 3 minutes.
So say maybe we need to start
In realtor time, 15 minutes or so, folks will be here.
Well, there's a GRI class today too, so a lot of people are going to that.
Oh yeah, in Charlottesville.
Yeah, like Greg and Michelle.
Okay, good for them.
Thanks, Jessica.
Yes. Well, we went to the last one. In Charlottesville, apparently, Paul, we need to get on this. So I think if we can condense. Okay, so Charlottesville doesn't offer lunch, and they do it in their association building, which is a little bit nicer than ours. But, and they have a lot more parking.
Oh, right,
obviously,
it's upstairs.
which is the issue. But they're offering all of the classes within a 1-year period. And I would imagine it brings some revenue if you're not offering lunch and you're doing it like in an inexpensive location. I don't know how what they charge.
Our issue is the instructor cost. We don't have it in our association budget to bring all of them in 1 year. I would love to bring more than 2. And actually, I think.
Does it depend on how many people sign up? If that covers the cost of the instructor?
No.
It's like $90 a person.
Well, the instructor is a set fee no matter what, and I don't remember offhand what that fee is. I want to say it's $500 or $1,000, and so, and that doesn't include the cost of getting the binders and printing everything, and putting it all together. And then, of course, space.
Yeah, if we could find more expensive.
GRI.
Like, I mean, that's really nice because we had at Hotel Madison that one time that's, at the country club, and they feed you lunch too, which I'd imagine that's a cost that.
That's actually, it is a little bit of a cost, but it's not a huge cost. We've done it at Eagle Carpet before as well. Actually, the Eagle Carpet's not expensive. I think that's for free.
Yeah. They had a ton of people though. I was really surprised at the turnout, the number of people that were there at the class.
At Charlottesville?
Yeah, it's just
I
trying to get it
took on.
done because they offer it, in a more condensed period.
Yeah, I took all of mine over there many years ago. And at that time, they weren't offering it in their association building. It was in another building. I want to say off of Greenbrier. But I suspected the turnout was always better there because we probably had. Well, I know there were people coming from all over the state.
Oh yeah, people from Roanoke and just everywhere.
Yeah.
They were there.
You going to Lauderdale Monday, Richmond?
No, I'm not. But I'm grateful that you are.
I'll be there.
Yeah, I forget which one was today, but I think it was one that I already have.
I want to start taking them as refresher because, I mean, some of the ones when I took them, they needed updated way back then.
Well, and they've done a lot.
Larry, he's with Paul Williams. He teaches the marketing one.
Leroy Hauser, he is.
I'm like, dude, this is from like 20 years ago. What you're teaching, like, come on, man.
Well, the technology class, when they're talking about RAM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Really?
some
Yeah,
of the terminology's a little outdated.
Yeah, pretty much. And that was back in 07 and 08 when I was taking mine. So yeah, I'm hoping they've updated some of them.
Yeah, the rest of them have been really good.
Good.
Dated.
And Leroy Hauser is usually
Oh no, he was good.
Yeah.
But
He's
just
entertaining.
The material that he handed out, it's just that he was like, oh, we don't do that anymore, and you could tell it was just the old stuff.
Yeah.
But he would correct most of it.
Does he still have a firm? Is he still an active broker?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's with Keller now? Yeah. Okay, so thanks for braving the rain. Happy New Year. This is actually our first get together since last year. So the first thing is welcome back. It's our first meeting since our Christmas party. So thanks to those of you who came. I think it was a blast. And Rebecca, Sammy, John, and Spencer did a great job pulling that off. Our habitat project has been kind of funny for anybody who's dealt with new construction, which is most of us. Our date keeps getting edged back a little bit because the permitting process has been a little bit slow.
yes.
Shocking. So now we're on the slate for roughly January 27th to 30th. It'll be at least one day in there. Still waiting for them to tell us if it's going to be more than one day, and if so, what days it'll be. But
What
again,
days of the week are those?
not sure.
27th is that's Monday through Thursday.
Okay. So we'll see. Once they pin down a date, I'll let you know, and we can start making some plans. Some people are at a GRI class today. I think a lot of folks are motivated to get that done quickly. We got this flyer. Michael Guthrie sent me this from Charlottesville. Their association has scheduled all 8 in-person classes that you need for this year, or for the designation within this calendar year. So if you want to blast it out in 1 year, I'll forward this around to everybody. You can do that and not have to travel farther than Charlottesville. We'll have 2 here. Brant, Jeremy, do you know?
I am out of the loop now.
Okay.
We'll have.
Jeremy's on the
I know
phone.
we'll have 2. I think we may actually have 3 this year.
Okay. So you could do 3 here and 5 just an hour away and be done. Get yourself a bonus for the rest of your life.
I got my GRI years ago,
Mhm.
and I don't pay anything for it. And the question was, and I'm still a
Mhm.
member.
Mhm.
Yeah, I called Jennifer. So, yeah, there's no,
No recurring fee.
not that I've ever
Great.
been billed for. So,
Great. Probably the only one. Right? All the rest of them you have to pay annually to keep using
so
the designation.
do we have to tell Rebecca that we are GRI?
She and I have gone through the roster. We're going to send an email around and just confirm with you guys, but I think we got them all.
This is a silly question, I'm sure, but I've taken a couple of these, but I've forgotten which one.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the record with GRI or who?
On your
G4?
account on
G4?
Virginia
it's not,
Realtors.
it's not, yeah, it's a Realtor Association thing.
Okay, thanks.
So if you log into Virginia Realtors and go to your account, and I think your courses.
Also,
Just remember that they all have to be done within 5 years.
Okay.
So if you've taken some that were more than 5 years ago, you
Okay.
have to retake those.
oh really?
If you're trying to get the certification.
Oh,
Once
okay.
you've got it, you don't have to renew
Right.
it.
Next thing, this is my Realtor Nerds card.
Uh-huh.
Membership 209 to 210, and it's all broken up. Don't they send out new membership cards every year? Or how do I?
I think they do.
I've never had one.
I don't really, I can't remember
Does
actually.
anybody have one
Maybe
like
not.
this?
But I'm sure, again, you could go to sign into realtor.org
That's what I gotta do.
Yeah.
and just go to your account and order a new one. Yep. So I will send that around to everybody, but they're making it really easy for us to knock that GRI out with minimal expense, no hotels. Super cool. Just a reminder, I ran into a situation recently where an agent was doing some leasing that I wasn't aware of. We don't, any leasing you would do for property that's not your own would have to run through the company, which means I'm responsible, and I don't know much about it. So we don't touch leasing. We send everything to Priority. We don't have separate accounts set up to handle those deposits or those escrows or anything. And we really don't want to get into that. So please don't manage anybody else's property. Actually, technically, remember, property management is not a licensed activity. So you can help somebody manage their tenants and call repair folks and that kind of thing. Leasing is the licensed activity. So, and we don't do that here. You probably have seen this little tidbit somewhere online. If you haven't, it's something that's really simple but really important to remember for those of us especially who are writing contracts. And that is, don't abbreviate 2020 with just a 20, because anybody could add a 19 or an 18 or a 14 to that and make it a totally different date. It would be tough to tell. So write out the year, all 4 digits, until we get to 2021. Yep. I've seen it roll across Facebook a couple times. Yeah. And I thought, kind of makes sense. Yeah. So our forms, I guess that if you're using .loop, it's going to fill in the full thing for you. But when you're writing checks, if you still write checks or anything like that, I think interesting to think about. So I want to talk a little bit about, we've been talking about business planning. Paul had a 3-session work group that some folks attended and got some good benefit out of. And we've talked about organizing Outlook to be your CRM, what you use to manage all of your clients, and to manage not only the folks that are in process, but your past clients, all of your contacts, and the folks you want to keep in contact with. And so I think part of your plan for 2020 should be to begin using something like that, if it's Outlook or something else. The company is looking at a fairly robust program. It's usually, this company usually deals with firms that are a bit larger than we are, but we think it might be a good fit anyway. It was actually developed by a firm in Colorado called Windermere, which has always been a company that Keith and I have admired and kind of followed. They're now franchising, and this was their internal custom system that they developed, and then they broke it off and are now selling it to other companies. So the Synergy team is going to look at a demo of that this Thursday. Some of us have already seen a couple demos of it. And if we use something like that, Outlook is still going to feed it. So you would enter somebody, a new contact, you met somebody at the store, you enter them in Outlook real quick. That would then immediately transfer to MoxieWorks, which is this program we're interested in, and then you could manage it from there. It also integrates with .loop, so if that became a deal of some kind, with one click you could open a loop from that person's contact page. So we're either going to adopt something like that or refine Outlook so that we can use it as a customer management system. So one way or the other, it's to your benefit to start organizing your contacts now. Go through one letter of the alphabet each day for a month. Hit the A's today. And just go through all of them. See if you've got duplicates, if they're people you can get rid of, or if they're folks you want to keep. Classify them as buyers or sellers or just sphere of influence or church or whatever. Anything you can do to start organizing your database now will help you in 2020 with some of the guidance we're going to give, whether or not we stick with Outlook or go to this more advanced program.
From what I understand of MoxieWorks too, that really either way you would want to organize your Outlook, because it will feed into this MoxieWorks system if the company gets that. So either way, starting with Outlook, because even if the company doesn't, get this CRM tool for everyone, you're still going to need Outlook to be organized one way or the other. So if you start getting Outlook organized now, it'll help you regardless. To that point, I can be available, and it's just about a 30-minute session. I can do that after the sales meeting today and next week. For anybody that's interested, if you want to do it today, just let me know, and I'll be get my stuff and bring it down. Otherwise, I'll do it next week after the sales meeting. It'll just be 30 minutes on some little tips of how to organize, use Outlook to organize your database and use that to see everything.
Awesome, thanks. Is there another hand? Okay. Yeah, I think I'm pretty excited about this software, but we'll see what the committee thinks. Yeah, that's so it can be a daunting task. If I was going to sit down with my contacts right now, it's thousands. So break it down into a chunk a day, a letter a day, or something. If you were not sure how to, say, create a classification or something in Outlook for your contacts, stick around after the meeting and Paul will show you. We had a standard forms update. I'm gonna have to sign in here. Nothing really earth-shattering this year, which is nice. A few things that just kind of correct some situations. But I wanted to show you just so you're aware. There we go. So on the Virginia Realtor site, which again, I'm a big fan of, they really do a good job keeping good information there. Standard forms is the most viewed section. It's a big button right on the front page. And they have an update, a separate update page for when they do that, January 1st and July 1st. Most of this year's updates had to do with property management. This one change to the contract it's in the financing section when we're talking about here. We're talking about if the purchaser gets to the commitment date and hasn't gotten their financing and they give notice to the seller. All they have to do is give notice, and this contract shall terminate and the deposit shall be refunded to the purchaser. It left things kind of unclear that it sounds absolute that the deposit shall be returned to the purchaser, which might conflict with something else that says if they do this, like if they went out and bought 3 cars yesterday, they're now in default and they don't get their deposit back. So that line was scratched out, and at the end of the paragraph was added, if purchaser does not default under the terms of this paragraph, deposit shall be refunded to the purchaser, which is more clear. Termination of contract, just changed a must to a may in terms of having the signatures of both parties in order to release the deposit. The law changed last year, remember, that said the escrow agent, if it's very clearly in accordance with the terms of the contract and one party is not strenuously objecting, and you can't get signatures for whatever reason, the escrow agent can decide to release the money. And we've had to do that, I think, twice. So that form, the termination form, was changed so that it doesn't now say you must have signatures of all parties. Possession by seller was kind of interesting. And this has to do with occupancy. So this is just a line was added to make sure that this is for seller's possession past closing. So a line was added to make sure that the purchaser still gets keys at closing, garage door openers, alarm codes, whatever, so that they can have access. It said before that they were allowed to, but there was never in there anything specifically that said they get a copy of all access. And apparently there were some problems around the state where folks maybe had a key to one part of the house and then a garage or an outbuilding or something else that had a separate electronic access, and folks were not getting access to all of the property they had just bought. So that was the addition there. And then somehow, through an oversight, this paragraph about electronic signatures being legal had been left off. So that was added. Lead-based paint. A link was added to the for the pamphlet. So if you send this to somebody electronically, you are also delivering to them the pamphlet by electronic means. All they have to do is click on it, and it takes them right to the EPA's page.
Great.
Just so you don't have to give them that book.
Does that work
Right.
through Dot Loop? Does the link still?
Dot
work?
Loop sends a PDF. Do links work in there?
Don't think so. But
We'll
we
have to test it and see.
Yeah, the booklet's in there,
In
yeah.
there.
Yeah, so you could send that. But I wonder. I know there's a way to make links live within a PDF, so maybe Spencer could just to help adjust that one form so the link would be live.
Then we wouldn't have to send that in.
Right. Right.
That's a
Yeah.
lot of pages.
That was the reason it was intended, so that if you did it electronically, so many are done with signatures electronically. Now you've delivered the pamphlet at the same time. Amendment between seller and purchaser. Some of you had brought this up to me. There was not a date on in the first paragraph. It said when this agreement was entered into on the standard amendment form, so that was added. Yep. Kind of silly. And that's it. So nothing real earth-shattering this year. The thing about the deposit is probably the most impactful. Yep.
Oh, I have a real problem with the remediation clause paragraph. I've never understood it, and I've been doing this for 14 years now, and that's never been discussed. I mean, it's never been, no one's ever used that remediation that I know of.
Rarely, because most people have a home inspection, and a big chunk of that would be property condition if you don't have a home inspection. But yeah, when we've had title issues, sometimes that comes into play. Okay, so this is something I just wanted to have a conversation. I read this article. Does anybody know this TV real estate personality, Ryan Serhant?
I went to, actually, Eva, James, and I went to go hear him in New York last year.
Okay. So he flips luxury houses or something like that, and he has a development that he started in New York. And on the first of the year, he made a big splash by offering to all the agents in the area a $50,000 buyer's agent bonus for the first contract of 2020 in his new community. And so it got a lot of conversation going about buyer's agents bonuses. Do we like them? Do we not like them? Do we like what it conveys to the public? Do we have to disclose it if we're getting one? So I'm just interested to hear what you all think. Some people like them, some people don't.
You do have to disclose it.
Mhm. Yeah.
As I'm-
Has anybody had sellers ask, want to put those on as an incentive? Right now, they probably don't have to.
Say it seems silly right now.
Yeah. But when things are flipped, and there's more sellers than buyers, or you're trying to start a new community like this,
Just curious, what was the price range of the houses?
I'm not sure. It was over $1 million. Yeah. So the argument against them is that it may give folks the impression that we're going to steer our clients to whatever's the best deal for us and not the best deal for them. What I see mostly sometimes, when the market was flipped, we would see these occasionally, or sellers would hear about them and say, hey, I want to offer a $2,000 bonus. What often happens is, because you do have to disclose it to your clients if you're the buyer's agent, unless they get their negotiation done pretty quickly, they're going to ask you to maybe kick in some of that bonus you're getting to help this negotiation go a little more smoothly.
That's what I ended up doing last year.
Right. About a dozen heads went like this. So, I mean, that's the reality of what happens. Something like this, probably not, because this is a big PR thing in New York City, and he's probably going to make a big deal out of presenting the check and all of that. But in real life, a lot of times they go away.
I have a question, just thinking this through, wouldn't it be better for this illegal? to offer,
Turn the recording off.
Yeah, to offer it to the buyer, offer something to the
Mhm.
buyer.
Mhm.
to have it be the first contract. To me, that looks better. I think it's crazy when if a buyer if a buyer knows you're getting a $50,000
Mhm.
bonus to bring,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think that's crazy. So I'm just saying, is it illegal to offer something to the buyer, like for a seller's?
Not at all.
for a seller?
Not at all.
Saying-
You're just
do it all the
discounting
Yeah.
discounting the house.
We
Yeah.
did it in new construction.
Right.
Yeah,
Builders
'cause
do
they'll
it
offer,
all the time.
You know,
Like they give
Closing cost
stuff
credit.
towards- Okay,
Mhm.
so it would be the same type. Okay.
Right. Closing cost credit. And when I was selling, if a seller would say to me, "I want to offer X amount of buyer's agent bonus," I would say, "Let's reduce the price by that amount and generate a lot more activity."
In Greenville, we had a lot of new construction and a lot of model homes that had salespersons in them,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the times the builder would offer like a $2,500 gift card to the
Mm-hmm.
agent, but then the buyer also, if they used their lender and their attorney, with everything closed with attorneys,
Mm-hmm.
they would get bonuses.
Mhm.
You know, like less closing costs
Right.
or something. So everybody
Right.
was
Right.
compensated.
A settlement company
Right.
in Richmond does. the
And
same
that's happened here. And back when things were booming, Jerry Scripture did that on all of his. He would offer a discount if you used Wells Fargo and Clark and Bradshaw. So the seller can't dictate where we close, but they can offer an incentive.
Jerry's doing it at Bluestone.
Okay, yeah. And he's always had the philosophy that I'd rather give a little bit to be sure that the lender and the closer are people I can pick up the phone and talk to and say, "Hey, is this going to close or not?" So there's no kickbacks or anything going on. It's just a matter of comfort level,
That's the same
you know,
reason
and not getting somebody off the internet in Colorado to do your loan. You know?
That's the same reason I use for recommending title department
Mhm.
to my clients that are buyers.
Mhm.
You know, so far, every one of them.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a
Not
close
that I have
relationship.
many
You know what
this
you're
year,
getting. Yeah.
I feel like for Tying Neighbor, we emphasize service, that doing a buyer's agent bonus is kind of sending the opposite signal.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
personally.
Yep, I agree. But this was such a big one. I mean, I can remember before when the market was flipped, you'd hear stories about people offering, you know, having a Porsche in the garage, and that goes with the house. To the buyer, not to the agent. But all kinds of crazy things to differentiate themselves, especially with new construction, you know, with the builder sitting there paying on his construction loan every month. So,
I'm sure he's doing that just to ramp up his.
yeah, this is all PR. He's a
Yeah.
TV person
Yeah.
already. This is in New York City, so it's all
Right.
about making a splash. And I could see a builder doing that here on a smaller scale, maybe.
Not 50.
Not too many houses that are going to sell that would let a builder
But
give away
also
that much.
He's hooking realtors because then realtors
Right.
are,
Right.
going to his workshops and his blah blah blah. And,
Right. And they're going to be showing all of his houses because they now know about him. Yeah. So, interesting discussion. So I wanted to bring this up. One of the things that we look at the end of the year, actually Katie keeps track of and sends us every week, are the audit sheets. How many audit contracts with audit tasks you have had. So if anybody needs some help, we can coach them a little bit, but we also like to recognize the folks who are doing it really, really well. So here's the list of folks from this location who were at 25% or less, meaning that less than 1 out of 4 contracts you turned in had an audit task, which I think is pretty outstanding. So if your name is on that list, well done. That's fantastic. As you get down to the bottom, I think you see 2 that are astonishing. First one is Kathy with 166 processed sides. 5% of them had a problem. So that's Faye mostly. She's amazing. I mean, she could keep up with Kathy, number 1, which is amazing. And to do it that accurately is phenomenal. Suzanne and Andrea on Suzanne's deals were perfect. 24 sides. None of them had an audit task. So
Why don't you show us the
that's
other
the
end
goal
of
to shoot
the
for.
table?
I don't want to show you the other. I'll show you in private and we'll talk.
I know I'm 100%.
But congratulations to all of you that do that well. So early numbers, and to be honest with you, they may change a little bit because some closings are still trickling in this time of year, even though it's halfway through the month. Here's the Rockingham numbers. Very similar to last year. 1.5% more sales in units. Huge drop in Harrisonburg, though, because of the tightness of inventory, I would expect. But overall, very similar. 19 more homes sold in 2019 than 2018. Average price up 5%. Median just a hair over 5%. That's a pretty healthy rate. You can see it differs a little bit through the county. Massanutten went up a ton this year. I think not so much because the price of my house went up 11%, but the mix of houses was a little different this year. A lot more homes over 300 sold than I can remember seeing in the past. So the average price has gone up, which is nice. 5% is a pretty healthy number. Look at the inventory. Right now in the city of Harrisonburg, this was as of 2 days ago, there are 35 houses for sale. That's 1 month's supply. In Massanutten, there are 7 houses for sale. 1 month's supply. And overall, for our whole area, we're under 2 months' supply. As tight as it was last year, it's 30% tighter this year. We don't have the charts done yet, but you'll see them. They're just, the inventory stair steps down year after year after year after year, and in the city of Harrisonburg, it's just about at zero now. So we'll see. It is the new. I think we have to get used to it and expect it to continue. Augusta County is kind of interesting. They've been about a year behind us in this inventory shrinkage of the past 4 or 5 years. They had a good year. Sales up 10%. Look at Waynesboro. 43% increase in sales in Waynesboro. So, I dug into that a little bit. The vast majority of those sales were under 200,000. There was something like 143 more sales in 2019 than in 2018, and 99 of those were 200,000 and under. Lots of small houses, 2-bedroom, 1-bath houses being rehabbed or flipped or bought as for rentals. A decent amount of new construction that's just under 200. So 99 homes more last year than the year before, under 200 in Waynesboro. So I thought that was really, really interesting. I haven't seen that kind of thing happen in Harrisonburg. So pricing wise, they're up a little more than we are. Interestingly, not in Waynesboro. And I think that's probably because, again, of the mix of homes. With they're bottom weighted with those homes that are 200 and under in terms of what sold this year. So it's probably not the value of each house actually went down 0.5%. I think it's more about the mix of what sold. Their inventory now has gotten below 2%. First time since we've been keeping track of it that it's gotten below 2 months' supply. And a big drop since last year. So I think they're going to have next year the year that we had this year, meaning pretty much flat as far as terms of sales, because they are now about where we are in the tightness of things. So we'll have the charts and everything ready within a couple of days. Questions? Does that look or feel different from what you're seeing?
Feels worse.
Feels worse. Yeah. Yeah, and I think all those factors that we've talked about all year are still combining. Builders aren't excited about building and competing with resales. People are staying in their homes longer. Interest rates for refis are still fantastic, so people just add on, finish the basement, whatever. Yep. Yeah. Yep. But the pace of sales was just a hair above last year. So it's not that stuff's not selling. It's just that it's churning. It's on the market, off the market, on the market, sold, on the market, sold, on the market, sold. So the same number of buyers, slightly more, found homes this year than last year, in 19 than 18. They were just under a lot more pressure when they did it. Which is why we had a higher number of fallouts, I'm sure.
What do you describe as a fallout? Did you have a ratified
Contract that doesn't close. Yeah. Yeah. For each of the last few years, that percentage has gone up, and I think it's really Greg made the observation a couple years ago that people are so much more pressured on the front end. We have a higher incidence of buyer's remorse on the back end, and that home inspection makes it so easy for them to just bam, get out. We're just going to get out and think about this for a while. And we just saw it happen again, 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 again.
But the flip side of that is there's nothing else out there for us. So
Mm-hmm.
don't we have to work really hard to try to make this one work?
You would think, but I think it's about the psychology of it, not the logic of it. So our Realtor Gala is coming up in February. In the HRAR newsletter, there were links to the award applications if you'd like to nominate somebody for the Good Neighbor Award, which is someone who has done some good in our community, or the Realtor Spirit Award, which is someone who has put extra effort into helping the Realtor Association. The link for registration was in the newsletter. Sounds like a good event. Any comments from
It's gonna be a
You
lot
guys?
of fun. Yeah, we have some good things planned.
Are you on the committee? Oh, good. All right.
It was a great location last year. The decorations were just amazing. We're working on upping the food a little bit, or a lot, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So don't miss it. 'Cause it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun last year.
Yes,
Yes.
Jeremy.
So Jeremy's going to make a speech, which he loves doing.
It won't be a long speech. I
Jeremy, I just want to remind you that when Beckwith got sworn in as president, she gave everybody a bottle of Maker's Mark.
Yes.
So,
Don't get your hopes up.
Yeah. There is, that passing the gavel line. That would be a good time to do that.
It's just 20 below and blowing like it was.
Oh,
Right,
Oh, my
right.
word. Unbelievable.
All right. I think that's it. Anybody have any listings they want to brag about? Okay. What you got?
410 Monte Vista Drive.
Come on. Keep going.
So Monte Vista Drive is the main road going into Monte Vista Estates. This is almost at the very end of the road, so it's not right on the cul-de-sac, but it almost is. It is one of the larger lots. It's right at 3/4 of an acre, Victorian style house. If y'all know Shane Rickle, Rickle Construction, he actually built the house and lived there for a little while. Hardwood floors on the main floor, tile in the kitchen. The backyard is really nice. I mean, you got a good sized screened-in porch, a deck that was just all the deck boards were just replaced, a little patio area off of that. The playground area was, retention walls completely rebuilt in the last year and enlarged. Also has a garden area that's fenced in. But 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. The half bath's on the main floor, full baths upstairs. Oversized 2-car garage with a workshop bench area. It's really nice.
Kind of tops of those coral. That's
They're
great.
actually just laminate countertops. Large master suite with 2 walk-in closets and master bath. Master suite has the jetted tub and a shower, double vanities. But one of the things that, just the Victorian style with that front kind of rounded area, and you saw it in the 1-bedroom. That's a bedroom over the garage. It's well insulated, does stay very warm. Actually, current owners there, 2-year-old, that's his room, so it stays warm. Laundry is upstairs, which is also pretty nice.
When was it built?
Built in 2004. 9-foot ceilings on the first floor.
Surprised you still have it for sale.
I am too, Paul. There's not much in my list at all. I have buyers that have a physical, under contract with closing in March and August.
So let me ask a question, just to get your all's opinion on these
Plus we got a
pictures.
brand new roof.
Does the snow help, or
Yeah.
should we retake
Oh, I
the
like it.
exterior?
I agree.
Yeah, because
Just-
the house is white.
Basil says, "Yeah, I love the snow." Everybody in the back saying, "Reshoot, reshoot."
Look at the snow and the blue sky. I mean, that's just gorgeous.
I'm with you.
True.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
That's
That's what
just
made me ask the
gorgeous.
question, because I know
Yeah.
Paul intends to retake.
Yeah, because
Well,
new
maybe in the
roof,
spring.
and it's a white house.
I'm gonna retake.
Yeah.
I'll still probably leave 1 or 2 of the snow pictures in there,
That's
Yeah,
good.
ones of the
Yeah.
backyard aren't too
Yeah.
bad.
but
Just made me curious because I loved it too.
you know.
The snow's beautiful. I have
Mhm.
a problem with snow, but just for marketing purposes. It's fine.
True.
But yeah,
Be nicer without
completely brand new
footprints.
roof was put on at the end of 2018.
Because the grass is probably still reasonably.
Go back to that front picture.
Super cute.
The front picture?
Well, that snow on that roof shows that it's not as well insulated because it's not. If we're all melted off, it would mean that all the heat's
There
going
you
up to
go.
the roof, right?
Right.
Come
And
on, make it.
that was a day after the snow. Those pictures were taken on Wednesday, not Tuesday.
Mhm.
So
no basement?
no basement, it's on crawl space.
That's why the price is where it's at. I've been sitting here saying.
Mhm. Anybody else? Jeremy.
Michael's got one at 1130 Rebecca Ridge. I don't know anything about it, so if you could just show a few pictures,
Okay.
read what the details are. He had baby lambs this morning, so he couldn't.
We all want to see Michael's Now that's an interesting number. Very rarely do you see something priced at 300.
Right at 300.
Makes sense.
299. Yeah.
Because most search engines, if you actually look at most real estate search engines, it goes in whole numbers. And so at 300, you're going to catch everybody with a minimum price of 300 and everybody with a maximum of 300. So you double your search
Not
criteria.
That's just interesting that you see that though.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're pretty smart about it.
Well, I just showed my ignorance. So there you go. I do need to get on my scooter and catch up.
Thanks for explaining that to us, Paul. Clearly, we knew that ahead of time.
I knew you did.
Michael did.
Anyway,
I learned it from you.
I don't know anything about the house, but please show it. And so
Super
it's
cute.
good little house, good location. And then while you're looking at pictures of that, I have one coming up in.
Oh, that's right around the corner.
For 125 grand.
Wow.
It's a little cabin. So holler at me. Miss Jessica's gonna go make it pretty tomorrow or Thursday.
Cabin as in a cabin house or a cabin.
So my clients lived in it full time.
Okay.
But he got
Indoor plumbing.
It's indoor plumbing,
Okay.
renovated bathroom. It's not big. It's like 600 square feet, but it's on 2 lots, 2 5-acre lots.
Where?
It's
Where's it at?
Where?
Sundance.
Sundance and Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
It's not far off. Grand Drag, very easy to
Yes,
get
it
to.
really
Look at the crowd, all the crowds right there.
1,400 feet for 300.
How many square feet is that?
That says 14. There you go.
Nice.
1,400 square feet.
Mhm. Anybody else?
Wow, it's
I've got
$200 a
a
square foot.
townhouse coming up in Liberty Square, 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, built in 2006. Very, very well maintained. Coming on the next 2 weeks probably.
You have a price?
Ish.
Ish?
Ish. 158, 162 ish.
Okay.
I have a so duplex I've owned for a number of years, over 30 years, that I'll be putting on the market at some point here, probably later this month or very early February. It's an up and down, it's a brick ranch with, built as an up and down duplex. Each level is 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. Just did a lot of renovations to the upstairs unit. The tenant was there for 19 years, so it's time to update some things.
Same tenant still there?
No, she's left, and that's why we've gone in and updated the upstairs. The downstairs is rented at this point. So I've, by word of mouth, there's been a few showings, and so if there are agents that are interested, I'm fairly readily showing the upstairs because it's vacant. The downstairs, I'm not. Looking at 229 price.
Where is it?
It's on Moore Street, which is on the north end of Harrisonburg. It's a dead-end street that runs parallel to Route 11 North, just north of where Charles Street is on the
Right.
opposite side.
And what kind of rent?
The downstairs is rented at $800. The upstairs had been fairly under rented because she'd been there a long time. But
Yeah.
I think probably about $900
Okay.
for the upstairs.
Great. Great. Anybody else? Last chance? Oop-a-doop. Have a great day. Thanks
Is
for
there
coming.
anyone who is gonna stay afterwards to look at Outlook, setting up Outlook as a CRM?
Next week.
I was
Alright.
gonna, I
We'll
was
do it
gonna,
next
Okay,
week.
wait, hang on just a minute.
The business meeting. Did you mention that?
Oh, I did not.
No.
Did we're set for the
We're set
fourth?
for the fourth.
Okay. So our business meeting, which had been scheduled for the 28th, the fact got past both Keith and me that the Klein May cruise is right then, and he's going to be on the cruise. So we're bumping it a week to the 4th of February, the next Tuesday.
This is Valley Pike? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Valley Pike?
It is at Valley Pike. Yep. Yep. Thanks. Okay, guys. Have a great day.
Paul, I got some things I gotta get done first thing this morning, but